Hi, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. Today I'm going to do a video on the black sapote, the chocolate pudding fruit. I'm also going to talk about cold stress and how to deal with it. Anyway, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing. We grow everything naturally here, and we rely on our miniature zebus for fertility. This is our little bull calf, Romy. He's about 10 months old. He's a tiny little guy. He's getting quite a big hump. I love him. He's so cute and special. Yes, you are. You're a good boy. And their manure is just amazing for fertility with plants. So we have about, I don't know, 10 black sapote trees, fairly big ones. That's one right there. There's another one over there. We have Reineke, which is also called Merida, and Black Beauty. I find Black Beauty to be the best, though I only have one tree, so I really can't give a firm answer on that. One tree of Black Beauty. But it's always been the sweetest, most delicious fruit. And we don't water anything here. We allow the orchard floor to grow out, and we don't walk on it. And we treat it like the sand dunes in Florida. We're on sand, very easily disturbed soil. And when I moved here, they said we couldn't grow anything organically because, or it was hard to grow organically because of our poor nutrients in our sand. But the people that have been giving all the advice on agriculture basically have been committing agricultural malpractice. And that's the only information you can find. I had to look up and see who is responsible for giving advice to the Florida citrus industry. You know who popped up? UFL. They're the ones that give the advice, refuse to change, and go with the modern form of agriculture that's going to replace and show, and has clearly shown, how destructive and horrible the old fertilizer chemical agro system is to not only Florida but around the world. All you have to do is look to Bhopal, India, and what Cargill did. Dow owns them now, to that area, and realize that we have been pushing environmental destructive practices around the world. And thankfully, due to quantum biology and all the AI probably, we are finally finding out that the natural way to grow plants is the only way that plants should be grown, as close to natural as possible. And UFL, they have all these weird recommendations. Mow the orchard floor, remove all the plants from around the tree, and then they use aquifer water, which is calcium carbonate. So by mowing and then using fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, somebody has gotten some money somewhere from the chemical companies to push all this stuff, and I could guess who got the money. But I'm here to provide a solution. So they have shown that not only is this living mulch system twice as good as a dead mulch system like wood chips at conserving water, but it also is where biology resides, microbiology, the biology that's needed to search and transfer water and nutrients and capture nutrients and water and hold it in the system and provide it to your host plant. In this case, it's our rare tropical fruit trees that we dry farm, we don't water. So just because of all this means we have lots of water in our system always. And I haven't noticed a problem with drought, period. So when you're using a deep aquifer on a compacted soil, it turns the soil in the top 6 inches into calcium carbonate, and then below 6 inches it's highly acidic due to the fertilizers. And so then they recommend using calcium. So they're recommending all this stuff. They're causing the problems that is causing the disease and the lack of cold tolerance in your trees through their recommendations. So fertilizer weakens plants' ability to handle cold stress, nitrogen and stuff. There's way too much nitrogen in our Florida soils. Just 1 out of every 3 houses on septic. That's a supply of nitrogen for your soil around your house. So this is our Merida Black Sapote tree. And they're not quite ready yet, but this tree is completely loaded in fruit. And they are getting close. So when they're ripe, these things lift up, this part lifts up off the fruit, and then they're ready to be picked. But if you do it before then chances are your fruit is not going to ripen. And our Florida citrus is getting close too. Our lemons, our Miko lemons. It's our own lemon. So why do they tell you how to water so much here, when obviously we do not have to water anything ever? We don't water anything in. All of the recommendations that you find, I have found to be all wrong. For how I grow, don't water stuff in, don't remove all the plants from around the soil. So when you remove all the plants from around your tree, when you plant it in, you're removing all its ability to signal to the microbiology that was in the roots of all these weeds that people despise, that nature puts there. Nature does it for a reason. They've also shown that invasive species and drought, I'll do a link to this in my reference section, invasive species, which is what our fruit trees are, which is what this guanacaste tree, state tree of Costa Rica, a nitrogen fixing tree, they're all invasive species. If it's foreign and we plant it in there, that's an invasive species. The citrus is an invasive species. Well, they've shown that invasive species, plants, fruit trees that aren't native to the region, and drought creates a richer environment of fungal diversity in the soil. But yet, we don't look at the diversity, the fungal diversity, especially in the soil. And fungal diversity is what we have been striving to create since we got here. I wanted a fungally dominant soil. I just knew that fungi was responsible for the nutrient cycles and the water cycles and pretty much the health of your plant. And they've shown that the fungi is responsible partly. It's not just them alone. It's a team effort. The bacteria and stuff inside the hyphae of the fungal endophyte and the saprophytic fungi is responsible for moving water from the biotic pumps, which is what plants are, to other plants during times of freeze. But when you're applying nitrogen fertilizers, it weakens your plant. It destroys the biology in the soil, mostly, especially if you're doing a mowed orchard floor, which they recommend, or mulch floor. You have reduced biology. And then if you're applying fungicides, which they do because their citrus and other plants get disease from their management practices, period. That's what it's from. And so they recommend all these fungicides and other insecticides and herbicides, which is an insecticide, to try to solve the problem, one problem at a time, and completely ignore the biology, which is responsible for the life of your and the health of your tree. So that now their citrus trees only live 15 years and are chronically diseased, just like the American public, from consuming the chronically diseased food that's full of chemicals, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, and nitrogen. It makes us chronically ill. It's pretty obvious that we are poisoned our soils here in Florida when we have the most polluted lakes in the nation. If the lakes are that polluted, then everything else is that polluted. It's very disturbing. And it really needs to change. And I'm just going to keep talking about it until I see some change on the UFL recommendations. Because they're the ones that have said that it's hard to grow organically here. It was like everyone said that, and I'd say, no, it's not. It's very easy from what I can see. I've been growing organically and dry farming since I moved here. I've been growing cacao, dry farmed, and fruiting it for 13 years straight. And supposedly you can't grow cacao in a below 50 degrees. It'll kill it. That's just simply not true. It is if you listen to their management recommendations. If you listen to them removing all the weeds from around the thing, then you have less biology in the soil, and then you apply your fertilizers, you have even less biology, and then you use the herbicides to kill all the weeds, then you have even less biology, and then you're applying the nitrogen fertilizers, and then on top of that, you're using calcium carbonate water, infused water. So it's like the soil has become bipolar from your management advice of agro-management soils, period. If you just leave it alone and put your tree in there, like I've discovered, chances are your tree's going to survive. You do have to remove all the soil from nursery plants and even your organic soil before planting it if you want to have truly great success right from the start. I'm going to look at the cacao, because we have got like 50 cacao, 3 different types. I started doing the cacao. I've been growing it here since I started. This is a seed-grown cacao from a fruit tree that I fruited in Brevard County, dry farmed, that produces hundreds of fruit every year. I think that may have died because they removed all the trees and stuff in their system just recently, and then they started having issues with their cacao. Because its survival relies on the survival of all the other plants, the support species. But I mean, look at all this fruit on this tree. And this tree is fruited at 5 years from seed. Last year it did not fruit, but that, I believe, was from the 31 degrees we had. It didn't affect the tree at all. The freeze did not hurt the tree at all. I've never noticed that. That's why I'm thinking we can grow durian here in Florida, where our water temperature is, groundwater temperature is always 72 degrees. So we have a very unique position, but unfortunately we've completely polluted our agricultural soils from using reclaimed water, which is full of forever chemicals. So here's a little durian tree. It doesn't seem affected by the cold tonight. There's a little cacao seedling. They like it. None of these warm, these plants, these aroids that like warm tropical climates, even notice the cold. They've been down to 31 degrees and no problem, but we have all this support species in here that ensures that the nutrient cycle is going to keep moving. Thanks to the biotic pumps of these giant trees. This tree loses its leaves in the winter when it gets cold. So they've found that calcium uptake in plants is a major attribute for the protection of cold resistance in plants, tropical plants. Here's another tropical plant. This is a Pulasan tree. It does not look affected by the cold. I want to show these now so that at the end of winter I can show you what they look like. I'm fairly certain that they're going to live, because cacao is the one that they said couldn't live below 50 degrees, and that just simply is not true. Why aren't we growing cacao plantations in Florida? Because we've completely poisoned our soils and made it almost impossible to grow anything. That's why. It's agricultural malpractice, which has turned into environmental malpractice. That's what that is. It's just really disgusting and sad. It just makes me sick, and that's why I talk about it. There is another way to grow, and I really appreciate everyone watching these videos and trying to evolve. I read this horrible, or it was a good article, but it was in the Washington Post on the most hated segment of our society is the baby boomer generation. I'm a baby boomer. I understand that totally. And the number one thing they put on there is they're resistant to change. I need my lawn. Yeah, you need your lawn because you never go outside. And then they put ant killer and weed killer and fertilizers on their lawn, and then they water it. Totally unnecessary in Florida. We are going to run out of water, fresh water, fresh, clean water. I think we're probably already out of fresh, clean water, mostly in Florida because it's so polluted. But in 7 years, it just can't keep going on. And the agricultural community really needs to do an about face. It's not the farmer's fault. It is the fault of the people that are in the position to teach. And that's all who's at fault. And it probably comes down to one person's decision to go full bore with their soil destroying recommendations. Some baby boomer. They also said they are resistant to anything that has to do with the climate protection. Well, it's not climate, it's pollution. Pollution's the problem. Pollution is climate change, but it shouldn't be called climate change. It should be called global pollution. And Florida has a severe nutrient and pesticide and chemical pollution problem that isn't ever being addressed. And it's killing our manatees, and it's killing our sea life, and it's killing our coral. And nobody seems to care. The people do care. It's not all we're not all of us baby boomers are like that, but I understand they are the problem too. I do totally understand because I've had to deal with them, especially here in Vero Beach. Look at this, philodendron Jose Bono, variegated. It's finally getting up on the tree. This is a nitrogen fixing tree, an ice cream bean that's got flowers on it. So I'm gonna go over to this big Black Beauty, Black Sapote tree. So the Comito, they say, doesn't like it below 40 degrees and it'll defoliate. That's just simply not true. Yes, if you listen to their recommendations on how to grow them, it probably will not survive. But if you focus on soil health and the biology in the soil, you stay off of it, you leave this stuff alone, you don't replace this with a monocrop of like perennial peanut, you just remove yourself from the system. You can put your perennial peanut and other plants in there to displace this, but it's better to leave this rather than kill it all and then put something else in there, because you're killing all the biology. Just like when you do chop and drop, you're hindering your plants' continuous exudates of sugars and food for the biology in the soil when you do that. So it's best to leave it alone here in Florida. We're on sand. Yes, it does work in some areas, but Florida, it's best to leave it alone. I think I've kind of shown it. For some reason, I thought when I would be biodynamic certified and organic certified that I would get some respect from the people that teach, or at least some interest from them, agriculture, but I never got any calls, nothing. In fact, it was a deterrent from other people wanting to come by here because they thought I was some sort of liberal snob. No, I wanted to see if I could get organic certified and biodynamic certified and understand exactly how to do it. I did it. And now I just do my videos to show people. Look at the size of the fruit on here. There's like so much fruit. This fruit is really sweet and good. These are getting close to being ripe, but they're just not quite there yet. They're gonna get there and they're gonna be good. And there's like so much fruit. It's crazy. I see the creatures are trying to test them to see if they're edible, but they're not. Yeah, it's like such a shame that we're so backwards here in Florida. It's just, we're right out of the 50s. But we have 2023 poisons, and those poisons are all greenlit by the EPA. The insecticide department at the EPA is completely taken over by the chemical lobbyists. It's the only reason why those people can be in power still, or in business. How they're able to destroy such huge cities, how they're able to pollute the entire state of Florida with their chemical pollutants. I mean, nobody in their right mind would drink Florida citrus. And I've noticed that the Florida citrus, when I moved here 13 years ago, I had a huge section of Florida citrus, and now it's got down to just like a 3-foot section in the grocery store. Most people know not to drink it. I mean, why would you drink it if it's known to contain forever chemicals and probably 20 different insecticides would be my guess. I'm just guessing, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't want to consume unless you just don't believe it. Baby boomers don't seem to believe. They're able to just turn their mind off for some reason. This is how it's done. This is how we've always done it. Yeah, but we've gotten artificial intelligence since then, and we've gotten smarter. Look at how beautiful this looks. Hummingbirds really like these bromeliads. Yeah, people get so disgusted by this. This is an achachiro tree, but this is all water around this plant. And during times of freeze, people have so many issues with cold tolerance, but yet they grow their plants in plastic pots and they feed them. And then they use peat moss and perlite and then feed them chemical fertilizers like Miracle Grow. The worst one is Osmocote. It's a microplastic, chemical coated microplastic that is polystyrene, polyethylene, polypropylene, all known carcinogens found in the forever chemicals in that plastic that you're putting right into your pot and into your plants. This stuff should not be allowed, and it's going to be America's downfall, our polluted agricultural soils, definitely. Compost does work, but manures work better, and not using lots of manures. Manures used from feedlots or manures used in excess, like I've seen somebody do 120,000 pounds of chicken manure on like 10 acres. That's like really dangerous, and you're setting your whole neighborhood up for water pollution and long-term problems caused by that. And God knows what those chickens were fed, probably GMO corn. So the calcium cycle in Florida should be really easy. And if you have the living orchard floor like this, then the calcium cycle works great because it keeps the pH of the soil good 24/7. Just like when you have the living root in the ground, it keeps the biology in the soil around the root zones of those plants so that when you incise a hole and plant your soilless tree, root and tree, just directly into the like carved out section that you did with the shovel, and close it up gently and step away, the exudates from these roots of these plants, water, phytochemicals, secondary metabolites, enzymes that are being excreted by those roots that are living in the roots, will congregate to your invasive species you're planting there. I'm going to do links to all this stuff. I don't know if I'm going to do a link to the, in the reference section. The starfruit are getting ready to do their thing again. I'm going to go look at the Imbe tree. So many people wanted the Imbe fruit. It's just like, it was just unbelievable. I just haven't experienced that with any tree before. And I'm glad, because it's a really good tree and it's so easy to grow and it fruits really well in a natural system like this. If you're listening to the old dogma of the has-been agro system that is Florida farming, then you're probably not going to have success fruiting it multiple times a year like we do. Your tree needs water. No crap. But this is water. All this is water. Even during times of drought. Even in California, it's better to let the native plants alone, not remove them, and put your plant directly in there. That's better than mulch. And even if they're not native plants, it's best just to leave them alone. Like in San Diego, they have coastal scrub. They remove all that, and then they put mulch down on the granite rock. It's best to leave all that stuff. Look at the fruit on this tree. Now that they're orange, you can really see how many fruit there are. There's just like so many. And I wish I could have satisfied everyone's needs on this fruit, but it's just, we just have more demand than we have producing fruit trees. This tree has already produced $1,000 worth of fruit this year, and now it's going to give me another $500. This tiny little tree. Every single year it does this. This is the first time it's done it more than once. I'm really thankful for all my international viewers. It's just, you're more than 60% of my viewership, and it's just amazing. From all over, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Philippines, Hindustan, of course. I just feel for those people in Bhopal that they just, Tao is just ignoring. That just is unacceptable. Totally, I wish I hadn't watched this documentary on the Bhopal incident, the agrochemical factory that blew up and killed 20,000 people. It just really disturbed me and made me double down on going after these agricultural institutions that are committing malpractice by providing the wrong information that's destroying and polluting Florida. I know there's so many people that want to change it, but the boomers are resistant to change, and we all know that Florida is full of them. So you just can't. I need my lawn. Anyway, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. I'm going to be taking a few days off from doing videos. I might do one more before then, but I need to take like 6-7 days off, just a little break, so that I can keep providing good content for you. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. And please take care of your agricultural soils. Have a great day.